and pursue something meaningful?
Well, the first thing I would say is, well, you should be afraid of taking risks and pursuing something meaningful. But you should be more afraid of staying where you are if it's making you miserable. It's like the first thing you want to do is dispense with the idea that you get to have any permanent security outside of your ability to contend and adapt. It's the same issue with children. It's like you're paying a price by sitting there being miserable. And you might say, well, the devil I know is better than the one I don't. It's like, don't be so sure of that. The clock is ticking.
Yeah,
and if you're miserable in your job now and you change nothing, in 5 years you'll be much more miserable and you'll be a lot older.
If people have a regular day job, if you could just find some one thing that you do as a passion project and just keep building on it, just keep watering it, keep adding fertilizer, keep giving it attention, keep giving it focus, and you can escape. You can escape and you can be self-serving. You could be okay. You're going to be okay.
Hi, it's the Doctor of Comedy. I'm making this video because I get a lot of emails from people saying, should they quit their retail pharmacy job? They're just so tired and worn out. They just don't even want to do retail anymore and they want to do something else, and they're just asking me for my advice. So what I always tell people, you got to make a plan. So many people say they want to leave retail pharmacy and they've wanted to leave for a while and think about just quitting, but they have no plan. And I think that's a terrible idea, unless you have the financial means to just not work for a while, which I think most people probably don't, but some probably do. But, you know, for pharmacy technicians, there's a lot of technicians who say they don't want to leave retail pharmacy because they can't find a job that pays just as much, and when I ask them, well, what have they looked for, and the other jobs are only like a $1 or $2 less. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, how much is your happiness worth? Like, yes, you might be making $1 less, but I mean, you'd be a lot happier. You'd be a lot stressed. You probably can get other stuff done because when you come home, you're not just exhausted and tired. I mean, maybe sometimes you'll have to find a side job, a passion, you know, flipping furniture. You know, that's what I've kind of gotten into, just a little fun hobby, finding old furniture and painting it and flipping it, and, you know. But never keep your job because another job is $1 or $2 less. Like, hell, the job I have now, I'm a lot happier, and I think I probably make about $50,000 less. So, I mean, you gotta see what's the price for your happiness, you know. Like I said, I get a lot more done. I'm a lot more happier, and I'm making $50,000 less, which is a lot of money. Probably not as much after taxes, but you know that needs to play a factor. Someone once on my videos, they had commented, well, you're lucky you don't work retail anymore. And it's not luck, you know. Like, I remember probably like 4.5, 5 years ago when I had my daughter, I remember thinking, wow, there's no way I can work 45, 50 hours a week and take care of my daughter. It's just not gonna happen. I was like, I have to find something else to do that maybe I could not have to be pharmacy manager. I could work less or work part-time. And so I remember I just was like, well, what is my passion? What is my dream? Just like Joe Rogan said in the video, you got to find a dream and a passion. You just got to water it. So I was like, you know what? Let me try really working on this, on my comedy. And I remember, so I would have 1 week on that I worked the weekend, and the next week I would be off for the weekend. So the weekend that I worked, all my free time, like I said, I was working 50 hours a week. All my free time, I would just sit on my computer, figure out how to edit videos, how to use Adobe Premiere Pro, what's the best camera, the lighting, green screens. And sometimes I was up till, you know, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of times the next day, because I used to take my daughter to school, so I'd wake up at 5:30, leave out the house at 6:15, get her to daycare at 6:30, get to the pharmacy at 6:40 because I need to get there 20 minutes early to get the day started. And then my shifts were supposed to be from 7 to 3, and I wouldn't get off to 4 because to stay late because we're behind, sometimes 5, then pick up my daughter and just try to find time to learn how to edit videos on my weekends off. I'd work from 7 to 3 on Friday, and I would drive 3 hours to Chicago, sit in traffic, probably get to the show an hour early, sit at the club for an hour, and then I'd have 2 shows. So I'd be there all the way to like 11 something at night, and then do it again the next day, and then have to drive 3 hours back. You know, there were some times on my weekends off, you know, I started working for a company called Funny Business. And they're like, okay, yeah, we have a show. It's $100. It's in Michigan. And they might or might not throw in a hotel. So I never wanted to turn down opportunities because I wanted to show the company that I could do the bigger shows, the venues that paid more. And, you know, every show you do, whether it's 500 people, 50 people, 5 people, it's an opportunity to get better, to work on a new joke, to enhance my comedy. So I always took as many, you know, opportunities I could. But like I said, sometimes driving to Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, you're coming back tired, you got to work another 50 hours. Like, and I'm talking about doing this for years. It was just draining. But I just kept doing it, and I just told myself, you know, it'll pay off. And, you know, for me, I was doing this for like 4 or 5 years, and, you know, the job that I have now, I love it. You know, right now I'm working from home, but I have an office. Some days I'm dealing with drug utilization reviews. Sometimes I'm dealing with pharmacy policies. Sometimes I'm working on prior authorizations. Sometimes I'm listening to drug presentations from companies. Which, by the way, a lot of those people who are giving those presentations, at least in the first half, are pharmacists. You know, the last one I was on, the pharmacist was somewhere in Colorado talking about a new drug. You know, that's the opportunity out of retail, for people who want to get out of retail. And, you know, every day is something different, and I love my job. But I wouldn't have the job that I have now if I didn't have that social media platform, if I didn't spend every day trying to edit videos, submit my videos, send my videos, sharing my videos. You know, like I probably have about around 15,000 subscribers, and I have almost 1.5 million views. But, you know, that took time, you know, every day just trying to share videos and work and look at analytics and see how I can make my videos better to build that platform for it to reach out to different people like Z-Dog. And you know, if I didn't keep working on that, a lot of people wouldn't know about my health initiative with the Black Barbershop, which is how I got 2 or 3 different job offers to do something out of retail, because people saw the health initiatives that I was doing on my own. And sometimes you'll have to switch it up. Sometimes you'll sit down, come up with a plan, and things change. Like, I remember when I was doing comedy after my show, so many people used to say, oh my gosh, you're hilarious, you need to do this full time, you can't keep doing pharmacy all the time. And I was like, you know what, I can't quit pharmacy, but I wish I could do comedy more so that I could get better and get my name out there more. And I'll have to find a way to be able to work a little bit less so I could do comedy more. So that's why I decided to open up my own business. I sat down, I was like, man, what could I do that could bring in income without me having to be there? And finally came up with this idea. My friend had brought it to me about opening up a barber college. I didn't know anything about it, but we went to different organizations like Boys and Girls Club, Urban League, other organizations, and they said, hey, we will give you money to help pay for students to go through the school. And we wanted to do a trade where people who maybe had a checkered past could get a fresh start on life. So we helped, you know, a couple felons get their barber license for free. And like I said, work 45, 50 hours a week. Every day after work, we're looking for a location, find a location, had to rehab it, new floors, cabinets, had to have a lunchroom. And me personally, I didn't know a whole lot about barbering, but in order to get a barber school, I had to sit on the website and sit there and learn, and what's the requirements. I remember I submitted like the transcript, everything they require for you to have a school. I submitted it, and they sent it back while there was 18 things wrong. So I went over those 18, fixed it, 14 things wrong. Did it again, 7 things wrong. Did it again, 3 things wrong. Did it again, 1 thing was wrong. But finally, we were able to open up the barber college. And it was great. The mayor came out, the aldermen. The community was happy. It was a new business, and so I'm thinking of different ways to bring more people to the school so people could find out about it. So that's why I say, hey, let's do a free blood pressure screening. We had an HIV van. We had free food. People came out, and so many people kept telling me how their insurance changed. They ended up having Medicaid, and then they couldn't go to the previous doctor, and the new doctor switched their medicine. It was just all these issues that people were having. So I was like, hey, I would love to do a health initiative, a blood pressure screen, where people can come here and we could actually direct them to a physician who will see them and follow them no matter what insurance that they have. Because a lot of times we do these blood pressure screenings, working in the community, we tell somebody like, hey, your blood pressure is high at this time. That, this doesn't mean that you necessarily have hypertension, because this is just a one-time thing, but this is something you should follow up on. Most people probably don't follow up. They just say, oh, okay, yeah, and just kind of go on about their lives. I wanted something where we could actually, or a pharmacist could actually follow up with the patients, direct them to a healthcare provider, and that provider will follow up with them. So I remember I'm reaching out to different people. I'm reaching out to different doctors, and finally I found a doctor who kind of believed in what I was doing and agreed to actually see the patients and follow up with them. And then he had his nurses train the barbers on how to use these super expensive blood pressure cuffs, these Omron machines. I think they're about like $500 a piece. And I brought the barbers there. They were so happy because they got to learn how to use the machines. They got to learn a little bit about hypertension. There's a lot of stuff they didn't know. Most of them had hypertension, and they didn't even know, because they started checking. The nurses started checking their blood pressures to show them how to use it. So it was just an overall great feeling. And actually now, with my job, working with Medicaid, they want to bring healthcare directly to the people. So I actually, in a month, I have a Zoom meeting with my new boss, with the doctor that I was working with, how we could bring healthcare directly to the people. Something that I was doing for free on my own, now I'm getting paid to do, and it's kind of crazy. It's with the same doctor. So, like I said, working 45, 50 hours a week, I just kept plugging away, kept working on the comedy, kept working on the business, Things changed, I thought I was just going to be comedy. I ended up trying to open up a business. I no longer have the business because of the pandemic, so that sucks. But, had I not did the comedy, had I not built my YouTube presence, had I not tried to open up another business, had I not tried to do the health initiative, I wouldn't have had the job that I had today, or the 3 other offers that I had for pharmacist positions that were out of the retail setting. It took me a long time. Took 4.5 to 5 years, but I finally did it. So I always tell people, just either go on Indeed. I know when I was looking for a job, I typed in PharmD and I typed in a minimum salary. I did 2 different searches, and there were so many jobs that I actually could do that wasn't pharmacy related, just by retail pharmacy related. Like, actually a company reached out to me to be a project manager, but I had to work on getting my PMP. But it kind of opened up my eyes that we kind of take for granted the skill sets that we have in pharmacy, that they translate to other professions if we just kind of think outside of the box. So I think a lot of people don't do that. And that's what people need to do. Just get a plan. Just say, hey, I'm going to go on Indeed or whatever job website and just look. If you want to do something outside of that, just type in healthcare or pharmacy, or just put your minimum salary that you need to have to survive, and then search that way. And what comes up, you might be surprised of jobs that are out there. You're like, hey, I have some of these skill sets. Even if it's something that, like I said, with the project manager, I need to get in PMP, put a plan in place where you can work towards it, And maybe there's a hobby. Maybe you don't want to do anything in healthcare related. Maybe you want to open up a gym or flip furniture. Just research it. Just put a plan in place. Because I'll tell you this, once you have a plan in place and you slowly start working to it, working retail won't be as bad, because you're like, okay, it may take me 3 years, but I'm working towards it. And every day, like, okay, I can get out of this. I can get away from retail. And once you get that kind of hope that you can get out of there and you're working towards that, it'll make your day so much better every day going into work. And like I said in the previous video, a lot of times why people hate working retail and just hate going, because there's no hope of when it's going to get better. You know, it looks like it's just going to get worse, and that lack of hope just really just drains people mentally. It drains them physically, and I think is the major reason why a lot of people don't want to work retail, because there's just no hope of when it's going to get better. So just find your passion, or just get to look and just come up with a game plan of what you want to do outside of retail pharmacy, and that could just be just searching. Just do that every day, 15 minutes a day. Just search for a different job. Just look for different hobbies. Look into an interest that you have, and I promise you, your days will get better. Because so many people try to quit retail and don't have a plan. And I don't recommend that. Have a plan. Keep working. Keep looking for a job while you have a job. Don't just quit and figure it out later, unless you just can't take it, or if you have the financial means. But like I said, that's kind of what I did to get out of retail. Just kept working, kept plugging away. It was hard, a lot of time away from, you know, my daughter and family, but in the end, like I said, had I not did the comedy, had I not built the YouTube, had I not tried to open up my own business, had I not tried to do the health initiatives on my own, which, you know, took a lot of time, I would not have the wonderful job that I have today. So everybody, that's my advice for people who want to leave retail pharmacy, should they quit their job, and how to do it. Hopefully you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and please share.
That's another thing to keep in mind too. You know, whenever you're working, and you will be, especially in the world of today where jobs are relatively uncertain, you should always have an escape route planned, and it should be active, because if you don't have an escape route and you can't get away, you can't say no. And if you can't say no, you can't bargain, and if you can't bargain, you're a slave. So that's how the world is set out at the moment. It's probably always been like that, but it's
so many people that would be so much happier making $27,000 less a year, and the only thing they have to do is sell their current home, where they only use 18% of the home anyway, and buy a home that has 2 less bedrooms, so they don't have to have the job that is paying to maintain the lifestyle that they've propped up for themselves, and their life will be like disproportionately better, because there's a lot more people living that than what you like. As many entrepreneurs as they are that should be employees, there's way more people that basically build a life around how much they're earning, get to a place where they hate what they're doing to earn, have the opportunity to still do something that earns $20,000 less that they love, but they're golden handcuffed by worrying about what car they drive or where their house is, because they actually care about other people's opinions, and nobody has the gear to take a step backwards. The inability to take a step back, to take 4 steps forward in happiness based on other people's opinions of watching you take a step back, blows my fucking face off.